When I was 7 years old, my family decided to embark on an adventure that would forever shape my childhood. We left behind our home in Michigan and set our sights on a sprawling farm nestled in the heart of Kentucky. It was a decision filled with anticipation and excitement as we exchanged the urban landscape for the idyllic countryside. I couldn't have known then that this move would introduce me to a world of freedom, animals, and mysteries waiting to be unraveled. The farm, known as Sleepy Hollow Farm, stretched across acres of lush fields, dense woodlands, and rustic barns. From the moment we arrived, I was captivated by the vast expanse of the property, the boundless opportunities for exploration, and the sheer delight of growing up on a farm. Life on the farm was a symphony of simple pleasures. We had a menagerie of animals that quickly became my closest friends. Horses, cows, hogs, ducks, turkeys, chickens, rabbits, dogs, cats, and even a few hamsters. Each one held a special place in my heart. My sister and I would spend countless hours petting, playing with, and taking care of our beloved farm companions. My days were defined by the rising sun, the cheerful crowing of the rooster named George, and the smell of home-cooked breakfasts. I learned to ride horses, help milk the cows, and gather eggs from the chickens. It was a life of discovery, learning about responsibility, and the unbridled joy of a childhood on a farm. But it wasn't just the animals that made life on the farm special. It was the sheer freedom to roam. The farm became a realm of boundless exploration for a young, curious mind. We traversed the woods, meandering along the meandering paths, stumbling upon hidden clearings, secret streams, and an abundance of wildlife. One particular element of the farm added an extra layer of intrigue: the house itself. Our new home was an old farmhouse, a relic from the late 1800s. Its history was as mysterious as it was ancient, and it whispered of untold stories and secrets locked away in its time-worn walls. As if that weren't enough, the house had a hidden room in the basement that seemed to serve no clear purpose, and a small door in the kitchen that led to a forgotten fruit cellar. These concealed spaces seemed to hold secrets that were waiting to be discovered. Yet the most mysterious aspect of our farm was an enigmatic pile of large stones located in the woods just above the barn. The farmhouse itself had been built using these large stones for its foundation, and there was a fruit cellar constructed nearby with the same imposing rocks. Consequently, we paid little attention to the stone pile. My parents, however, urged us to steer clear of the stones, warning us of the snakes that might lurk nearby. The mere thought of encountering a snake was enough to deter us from venturing too close to the stones. So we abided by their advice and kept our distance. For several years, the stone pile remained an enigma, its secrets undisturbed. It was just another part of the farm, quietly watching over us as we went about our daily routines. It wasn't until a few years after our move that a new, intriguing chapter would be added to our family's farm story. My best friend, Chris, came to stay overnight, and together we embarked on an adventure that would forever alter our perception of Sleepy Hollow Farm. Chris and I had quickly become fast friends after my arrival in Kentucky. With the sun setting, we felt a surge of bravery and a desire to explore the uncharted territory of the woods. The stone pile beckoned us, its enigmatic presence impossible to ignore. Together, we ventured into the woods, leaving the safety of the farm behind. The fading sunlight cast an orange and purple hue through the dense leaves, creating an eerie atmosphere that only added to our excitement. Our footsteps led us to the stone pile. In the company of a friend, we felt emboldened to disregard the warnings about snakes and explore the peculiar stones that had always piqued our curiosity. As we approached, the stones came into view. They were enormous, their surfaces marked by the passage of time, draped in a thick coat of moss. Their arrangement was haphazard, as if they had stood there for centuries, silently witnessing the world's transformations. We began to examine the stones closely, tracing our fingers along their weathered edges. The stones seemed to tell a story, but it was one we couldn't decipher. As we explored, our attention was momentarily diverted by the sounds of squirrels chattering in the nearby trees. The forest was growing darker, and the squirrels scurried about, their tails flicking in the fading light. Then a sound, not from the squirrels, but from behind us near the stone pile. It was a low, guttural whisper, an eerie chant that sent shivers down our spines. Our attention was abruptly drawn to the source of the whisper. Hiding behind larger trees, we observed 3 small figures standing atop the stones. Their eyes glowed like embers in the encroaching darkness, casting an eerie, otherworldly light. The forest grew darker with each passing moment, the trees casting long, unsettling shadows. The creatures were about 2 to 3 feet tall, with twisted and elongated forms. Their eyes, the most striking feature, illuminated the darkening forest. They whispered to each other in a language that felt ancient and alien, their words incomprehensible. Our hearts pounded as we watched these creatures in a state of awe and trepidation. They seemed to belong to a realm beyond our understanding, a realm where the laws of nature and reality no longer applied. As the sky turned deep shades of orange and purple, the creatures began to disperse, their whispers fading into the night. Chris and I remained hidden behind the trees, our eyes locked on the creatures, our bodies frozen in a state of tension and uncertainty. With the creatures moving deeper into the forest, we decided it was time to make our way back to the safety of the house. The night had fully descended, and the woods had become an enigmatic and eerie place. We had no lights, as we hadn't planned on staying in the woods so late. Our only option was to find our way back to the barn, which was closer to the house, and from there we could easily return to safety. Whispering to each other in hushed tones, we began our journey back through the darkening forest. The forest was alive with the sounds of creatures moving in the night. The wind rustled the leaves, creating an eerie symphony of sound and shadow. We could hear the creatures from before, their whispers echoing through the woods, growing fainter as they moved farther away. Our anxiety mounted with each step, as we knew that danger could be lurking in the shadows. As we neared the barn, we spotted one of the creatures. It stood in the road that led from the barn, its glowing eyes piercing the darkness. The crescent moon cast just enough light to reveal the creature's unsettling form. We pressed ourselves against the barn, our breath held as we attempted to stay hidden. The creature had fixated its glowing eyes on one of our farm cats, Smokey, who had been nearby. With bated breath, we watched as the creature stalked Smokey, leading him away from the road and deeper into the underbrush. We knew we had to make our way back to the safety of the house, but the presence of this enigmatic creature blocked our path. As we began to retreat quietly towards the house, our hearts pounded with the knowledge that the night held unexplainable mysteries. The forest had grown even darker, and the only light came from the crescent moon that barely illuminated our surroundings. Just as we were making our way back to the house, chaos erupted in the chicken coop. The chickens were in a frenzy, cackling and squawking as though a predator was attempting to breach their sanctuary. The sudden commotion startled the creature stalking Smokey, and it momentarily diverted its attention from our cat. Smokey, sensing the opportunity to escape, bolted from the creature's reach and dashed towards the safety of the house. Chris and I seized the chance to make our escape as well. We ran as if our lives depended on it, the adrenaline pumping through our veins. The house was now only a few hundred feet away, and we sprinted toward it, the sounds of the chickens in the coop growing distant as we left them behind. The creature stalking Smokey was also startled by the abrupt change in circumstances. It barely noticed us as we ran past it in our mad dash to the house. I couldn't help but steal a glance at the creature's face, which was etched with confusion and surprise, an image forever etched in my memory. As we reached the house, we flung the door open and slammed it shut behind us. We stood in the dimly lit kitchen, gasping for breath, our hearts still racing from the adrenaline-fueled sprint to safety. With a sense of relief and terror still fresh in our minds, we finally had a moment to reflect on the events of the evening. Our encounter with those strange creatures had been surreal and baffling, and the peculiar happenings in the woods were beyond our comprehension. We shared our unbelievable story with my parents, our words tumbling over each other in our haste to recount the enigmatic figures we had seen near the stone pile. Yet our parents brushed it off, suggesting that raccoons or other animals had likely been the cause of our disturbance. But Chris and I knew better. What we had witnessed in the woods that evening was beyond the realm of ordinary animals. The creatures were nothing like raccoons or any known creatures of the forest. They were beings from a different world. The following day, after Chris returned to his home, I found myself drawn back to the stone pile. The curiosity gnawed at me, urging me to seek answers. However, when I arrived, there was no trace of the creatures, or any evidence of their presence. The stones remained silent, and the forest had resumed its usual tranquility. In the years that followed, I never saw those enigmatic creatures again. But their memory remained imprinted in my mind, a reminder of the mysterious and unexplained phenomena that can occur when you dare to venture into the unknown. We chose to keep our encounter a secret, knowing that no one would believe our extraordinary tale. Yet, for Chris and me, it remained a surreal and unforgettable experience, an adventure that would forever bond us and leave us with a profound curiosity about the mysteries that may still lie hidden in the depths of the Kentucky woods. Decades have passed since that fateful night on Sleepy Hollow Farm, and I have since moved away from the farm, as have my parents. While no one lives there now, the farm remains in the family, a place of nostalgia and cherished memories. It has become a testament to the untamed mysteries that sometimes cross our path, lingering in our hearts and minds like whispers from a different world. Indeed, the nature of these creatures has remained a source of wonder and mystery. Were they simply a part of our own world, perhaps hiding in the depths of the forest? Or did they emerge from an enigmatic doorway concealed within the stones, leading to a different realm altogether? Could they have been interdimensional beings, slipping through the fabric of reality? Or did they arrive from a distant planet, guided by their own unknown purpose? The questions are endless, and the answers remain elusive. What are your thoughts? What do you believe these creatures were, and what could have brought them to that remote corner of the Kentucky woods on that eerie night?